You made stuff in camp, right? Where is it? You left it in camp? Yeah, Mario.
Hello. Oh, you wanted to see my avatar? There it is, Harold. That's my avatar. Where is Ernie today? In Czechoslovakia? And in Slovakia, I mean?
No.
Hello, Abe. Harold. Harold? Hmm. Hi, Johnny.
Yeah, hi. Late. Oy.
Yes, really.
Good morning.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
Morning.
Hello.
Where are you now?
Bratislava,
Oh,
Oh.
Pressburg,
fresh work.
Pressburg.
Does anyone
We
call it
visited-
that? Does anybody call it
The
that?
Ju-
Jews?
No, the Jews.
Yeah.
Here's the Chassam Sofer is buried here.
Uh-uh.
We visited the Kippur.
Any living Jews?
Yeah, we had there was a Chabad. We had dinner there. There's a community. There's a shul.
Oh.
I think
Okay.
they have a minion of about 15 Jews. I think there's about 400 Jews they settled with there.
Hmm.
Good morning. So we're on Yud Tes 19. Below Kosin, you cannot dig a pond that is used by launderers again next to somebody's wall. The machmatsan is a launderer's pond that you would soak clothes in for a long time. So that you have to separate you have to be 3 tefachim away. Aval min hanadiyin arba amos. Then there was a second pond that you would soak the already laundered clothes. That had to be further arba amos. Tanya Malachi Nivrechas Akoifsin Arba Amos. Arba Natzlam Shloshet Tefachim, 2 prices that seem to be in contradiction. Elav Shlominat Rav Nachman, like we said, depends what kind of launderer's pond we're talking about. Vikaduramilo Uhumir me, other people learn, they ask it as a kasha tnan, Nivrechas Akoifsin Shloshet Tefachim, Latanya Arba Amos, Amadach Ravu Eloi Kasha Kan, Minamachs and Kaminanai. So fear braid of Avi Masilo Day. Ela in Kain Hirki Misfas Machmatson. The Bryce said specifically it has to be moved away from the lip. The Machmatson Lakosel Shloshet Tefachim, 3 tefachim away. The side the same. Then Mishnah said that beside moving away, you have to line it with lime. Is it either or? It means you have to do and move it away and do it in lime, or you have a choice, either or. Do it with lime, and then you don't have to move it. So pshita de visad it means both. You have to move it the distance and do it in lime. If it's a choice, it's not. In Cain, why learn it as a separate din? Bring it all together. Mush says that's not a proof. Each one is a different type of damage. Reisha has the Masuda. the ratio of the Mishnah talks about damages that are because of moisture. Seifa is Eka de Hevla. The Seifa talks about damages that are because of warmth. Toshma Ravino, if you don't need to dig the earth with a shovel, but it's soft enough that you can dig it with your hands. So then, Zechot for Bar Mikan, Zechot for Bar Mikan, each dig a bore on its own land. Zemachik Fucking beside the Sid. This neighbor moves it 3 tvachim away from the border and puts lime in. Zemachik beside the Sid. Period. Time at the Babi Yadayim. That's because we're talking about very soft dirt. Allah Babi Yadayim low, but if it's not, you have to go even further. No. Who didn't Babi Yadayim on beside the Sid? Even if it's hard dirt that you need a shovel, you'd also have to put lime. The Chiddush was for the soft dirt. Maybe since it's so soft, you'd have to move it further away. Kamash that you don't. Then the Mishnah said, you have to move all of these items. We learned the halacha in the Masechta Shabbos that you may not, prior to Shabbos, put a cooked dish like a chulent, bury it into material which adds heat. If it adds heat, you cannot bury it. If it doesn't add heat, you can't. Aim time will give us, or you cannot hide your chulent pot in a olive branches, well, the zevel not in dung, or the melech not in salt, or the sid not in lime, or the chol not in sand, in lachin be'innovation, whether it's moist or dry. Our Mishnah here in Bava Basra of moving things away from the border only mentioned rocks, not sand. By the Sugya and Shabbos about Toinin, Atmana, there it's Tanichol, look Tani Sloim. It talked about sand and not rocks. The fishing dock and that was not the meaning of people to use rocks. They used sand. In the Brisa there by Shabbos, it gives us some strange other material that it talks about that you're not allowed to put the children in, like pieces of wool and the royal purple, the Tanya. Toin the Gizet Semer of Tzifet Semer, you're allowed to use here it does mention things that apparently are not common for people to use for Atmana. El Amar Abaya. There's a pasuk in Iyuv called Yogid Alav Re'u that mentions one thing, it mentions the other thing too. Not necessarily the absence of learning it that you to do something from it. Tana Hachasleim, who adin lachol, means over there, or here in our Baraisa, in Bava Basra, it mentions rocks, but really it's the same din for sand. And over there by Shabbos, there it mentions sand, but it really means slime as well. If that's correct, list them all in one list. Then mention one as an exception, and we would say who I did. Over there in Shabbos, when we're talking about Hatmana of the chulin pot, they didn't mention rocks. If you pile in a dish, rocks, the rocks are going to break them. So it's not common for people to do that. And here, they didn't mention chol, mishum demachamimi chaim u'makri karer. We're trying to bring examples of things that heat, or examples of things that cool. I think more of a hatani Rab Bishaya chol. Rabbi Bishaya does mention sand. So Hassam the Mesuna, because there we're talking about wet sand, which has a different characteristic. But the author of our Mishnah also mentioned things that are moist. Hatanle Amasamayim, because it mentioned a pond. So it mentions multiple things that are moist, because it mentioned a pond. Then it mentioned a pond that launderers soak. So the Gemara says, Hanu tzrichi. There was a reason. A pond is always there. It's not always there. You dig it, you don't dig it. Once you dig it, you remain it there. But it flows away. I would think low, so tzricha needed both. One second, I just need a tissue for a second. One second. Thank you. Then the Mishnah said, "Marchikines as remes or we distance planting seeds a certain distance away from a border, and we don't plow a certain distance away from the border." Frank the Gemara is Zroim. I mean, when you seed, you have to plow before you put the seeds in. Typically, Mishum Machresha, we have to listen both. So more answers, but Mapolisiyat, you don't always put the seeds in the ground by plowing. Sometimes you just use like Johnny Appleseed, who deposited seeds into the ground with his hand. The Gemara asks the opposite way. Machresha, you mentioned don't plow. Typically, Mishum Zroim. Well, you should have just mentioned seed. We would have understood plowing. So, b'chorish le'ilonis, when you plow near trees, sheyesham ilonos miyami rabin, there's old trees there, and you come to plow underneath them to improve the tree. It has nothing to do with planting seeds. So what the Gemara is saying, sometimes you're going to plow, but there's no seeds. So you have to mention both. I have a typically mishum maya. Well, when you plant, plow, you have to irrigate it. You can't plant seeds without putting water there. Why do you have to mention it? You already mentioned the various items that have moisture that you have to move from the distance. So it seems to be superfluous. So the Gemara says, Tana Beretz Yisrael Koi. There you don't, in Eretz Yisrael, you don't have to dig a special irrigation ditch to irrigate. It drinks from special brach in Eretz Yisrael that it gets enough water from the rain. You don't have to dig irrigation ditches. More lememra. Are you telling me this Roim study covers Starshi? If it's told me that you have to distance planting seeds away 3 tefachim or whatever the distance is from the border, it seems to imply that seeds grow towards the side. They don't just grow straight down. Because by moving it away 3 tefachim, because it seems that when things sprout, they sprout to the sides. You are bending the branch of a grape into the ground so that the roots should take in and you should grow a new shoot. You have to have at least 3 tefachim of dirt above that. Otherwise, don't plant. because you're not allowed to plant wheat and grapes in the same place. You have cloying. Right? B'tani Allah, aval zoreas at study. But directly on top of it, you can't plant. But on the sides, you can plant because they don't go to the sides. Elef ve'elef. So we shouldn't be choishesh that the roots of seeds are going to go to the sides, only down. So why are we choishesh? Why do you have to distance the seeds from the border? So we're not concerned about the spread spreading to the side. We put a lot of holes as part of the seeding process, and that makes the dirt very soft. And if a person has a wall right next door, it's going to weaken the foundation of that wall. It's going to collapse. Okay. Then it says, urine has to be distanced from the border 3 tefachim, or from the wall. He says you're allowed to urinate on somebody's wall. Achab, the Russia, the king that we learned in Novi Shir Malachim. I'm going to cut off the family of Achab, Mashdin Bekir v'Otzrav Ozav Israel.
Is urine destructive? Can urine destroy a wall?
Because it's got ammonia. It's
Uh-huh.
acidic.
Acidic.
Or alkaline, depends, but mainly acidic. So yeah.
Harold, in case you need anything to destroy it, I'll send my dog over to you. He knows how to do that. No, it's not a joke. It's serious.
Okay, thanks.
But
Okay.
this pasuk, the Havamina, is we're talking about a human being. We'll come back to what Walter just said. Right now, the Havamina is that we're talking about a human being who's urinating against the wall. And l'chora from that pasuk is that it's common for people to do that. So the Gemara asks a kasha about not. Our Mishnah says we're marchik es meir aglaim in hakoisel shloshet tefachim. How could the pasuk say it was the darker shel olam to urinate against the wall? So hasom. So first the Gemara tries to say that's talking about b'shoifchim. We're not talking about a person standing there and having the urine come out from himself. Rather, they used a chamber pot underneath their bed to urinate, and it would gather. I guess there it's worse. And then if you shoifech that urine, that could damage more. So the Gemara Toshma, yishpach adam mayim b'tzad koser shel chaveiro. You shouldn't dump water against the wall of your neighbor. You have to separate 3 tefach. That's water. And I would say kol shekain urine. Moses also nami b'shoifchim. Again, that's not talking about regular mayim. We're talking about a chamber pot. Toshma lo yashti not a mayim. It's a koser shel chaveiro. Don't urinate a person against a wall. You have to stay 3 tefachim away. But here now we make a distinction of kind of wall. A brick wall. Avonim made with stones. That's you have to separate only b'chtesh lo yazik. Separate so that it won't damage. How much is that kama? Tefach, not 3 tefachim. B'shel tzuma, if it was a wall made out of strong rocks, mutter, then it's permitted. So, tiyufta, Rav Chana said that you have to separate 3 tefachim. Tiyufta, so that asks a kash. So, frankly, Gemara, Rav Chana Krokama, what do you mean? He brought a pasuk that it sounded like it was normal for human beings to be able to urinate against the well, Malchi Kamar. Here, there, you still even objects that would be normal to urinate there, we still don't let it. Oh, we talk about kalba, dogs. Not the pasuk there, but Mashtin Bekir, it's like a dog. It means they're not even going to leave the Even a dog in the family of Achav is not going to remain. So the intent there of the pasuk was a dog, not a human being. Amar Tuvi Bar Kisna Bar Shmuel. Rakik. Rakik is like a piece of cake. Very thin, very soft. You have a chalon in a house that allows tuma to exit from the house. If you on the windowsill you put a soft thin piece of bread, it does not memite the shear of the chalon. The chalon remains all the way to the sill. You ignore the food. Now, my ear you're rocking. Why does it have to be thin? Afilo avanami. Even if you have a thick loaf, it's not memite. So the Gemara says, yeah, this is a structure of lomaboy kamar. Not only this, but this also. That means lomabai, don't add, certainly in a case of ava, a thick loaf, kiven de ichsile, you can use this loaf, lo mavatale. You're not mavatal the loaf to the window. Aval rakik, this thin, very soft thing, which is rakik, is divamais. It gets dirty easily. So it's disgusting. Maybe amy betul mavatale. You're mavatale to the window, and it becomes part of the construct of the house, and therefore it does minimize the shear of the Pesach. That no, it's not mizbatel, even a roki, because it can be used for something. You can give it to your animal. The animal is not moist in it, and an animal would take it from there. So there's his shtamshus even with the roki. So it doesn't become a chelek of the structure of the window. But typically, the havale davar shehu mekabel tuma. Why don't we say it's mamayit the window for a different reason? Food is something that's mekabel tuma. It doesn't provide a chatzitza, something that's mekabel tuma. So we're talking about a rokik shenilush b'mei peros. You have 5 types of liquids that cause food to be makabel tuma: water, milk, blood, but mei peros is not. So those things are choitzitz because they're makabel tuma through the permitted liquid. So on this sheet of Shmuel Meisvei, kupa mlea teven, you have a basket full of straw. Or a barrel full of dates that are in a window. So the shaila is royan. We see. If you could remove the barrel, the kli that was holding them, and they could sit in the window by themselves, then it serves as a chatzitza for the tumah to be coming out of the window. If not, you view the whole window as an opening. There's no chatzitza. Now, why would we say they're choitzitz? Why don't we say it's that because of shimush? It's roy for the behemoth. The behemoth came, it would eat it. And so it should not be batal. Why should it be choitzitz? When it says besira, you're talking about straw that got rotten. It has deteriorated. And therefore, behemoth won't even eat it. So it's mavatal there. That's why it's choitzitz. You could still use that straw they used to make like cement, pitch, or some kind of, like a cement product, and to make bricks. So it has shimush there. So the Gemara says we're talking about straw the isbe koitzi that has thorns. Such straw is not roy to make bricks. You could use it for firewood. So the mesuna, we're talking about straw that was wet. You couldn't use it for that either. Still chazil has a gadol. If you made a big bonfire, it could be used for fuel for that, even if it's moist. Has a gadol or shchiach, but a has a gadol is not a shchiach thing. And therefore, this type of wet teven, a person would leave in the window, and therefore it serves as the chatzitza. Okay. Grois, we talked about dates. Achazule. Well, dates are certainly roy. Person's going to take it from there, from the window. So why should it be chaitzitz? Not going to leave it there. Amar Shmuel, Bishahi Trifla, it became wormy. Worms were eating them, so nobody would eat them. V'chein tani Rabba Ravua Bishahi Trifla. So now we started first saying the dates that are put into barrels. So ha'chav is hechidami. Give me the exact case that you're talking about. Ida pumalabar. If the mouth of the barrel is pointing to the outside, where the mace, remember the mace is in the house. If you point the barrel, the opening of the barrel to the outside, where the mace is not there, so he gufa techos. Forget about the dates. The barrel will be the chatzitza. The barrel's not makabel tuma in that case. We're talking about it's got to be klicheres. We're talking about clay. Okay, we'll stop here. Up here, we'll pick up tomorrow.
At what time?
Same time, same station. Tomorrow, there's no tsurba.